Good morning. I'd like to call the regular scheduled meeting of the, excuse me, Board of Selectmen to order. It's Monday, October 5th, 2015. It's now 8:31. First order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance. I'd like to ask Selectwoman Cartier to lead us, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks. Item 2, public forum, limited to 3 minutes on any agenda item. Anybody wishing to address the board? Okay, don't see anybody. Okay. Item 3, excuse me, approval of the minutes for September 21st, 2015, which was a regular meeting. Do I have a motion, please?
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Are there any additions or corrections, Gary?
Under 4.2, I think the allocated amount for the bid, Jim, remind me, was $225, not $265. This was for the six-wheel single sweeper.
That's correct. It was $225. Yeah.
And I don't remember, but under 5.1, Mr. Maynard said they budgeted $50,000, but we approved 77. There had to be another number in there because. 80,000. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks, Trace.
Okay, we have 2 corrections. Trace, you have them both, right? Any other additions, deletions, or corrections? Comments? Okay. Take a motion to approve the minutes as corrected.
So moved.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you.
You just knew we weren't in the habit of approving something that was $27,000 over budget.
No, that's not our style, is it? Okay, moving on to item 4.1, in-house counsel, Pam Millman. Pam, this is long. I'm going to ask you to read it since my voice is... okay. Not too good this morning.
The agenda item is consider and take possible action on whether to exercise a right of first refusal for possible purchase of a conservation easement on real property owned by the South Central Connecticut Regional Water Authority located off of Great Hill Road, totaling 60.81 acres, shown as Lot 11A on Assessor's Map 121, pursuant to the provisions of subsection F of Section 18 of Connecticut Special Act 77-98, and send to the Planning and Zoning Commission for mandatory referral under Connecticut General Statutes 8-24, and set a town meeting date for Monday, November 2nd, 2015 at 8:15 a.m. at the Guilford Town Hall.
Thank you.
So the first selectman received a letter from the South Central Connecticut Regional Water Authority dated September 18th. They were about to convey a conservation easement to the state of Connecticut over this property. As they explained in the letter, the conservation easement is being conveyed to the state as a condition of receiving a grant from the state's Open Space and Watershed Land Acquisition Program. And the amount of the grant is $396,500. However, due to certain statutes, before the water company can convey land to the state, they have to give the town a right of first refusal. And the way apparently this works is the purchase price is the amount that they would have received for the grant. So what's being asked is, that, under our charter, the town meeting has to make a decision as to whether to acquire or to not acquire the land. What you're being offered is a conservation easement over the land, not the fee title. That's really it. I guess Tracy's indicated that the Land Acquisition Commission did meet on this on October 1st, and she indicated to me that they did not recommend it. Not really understand. I don't really know.
Yeah, we do have a memo from Kevin McGee, environmental planner, in our packets. You'll have that? Mm-hmm. Okay. Saying that the town land acquisition commission has reviewed the property and determined that it was not in the town's best interest to purchase the conservation easement since the regional water authority received a grant that requires the condition of the grant funding that a conservation easement be provided to the state of Connecticut. So that's their recommendation. Okay. I don't know if you've seen this yet.
Yeah, I haven't.
Okay.
So it's up, I'm not sure about the last part of that memo. You know, it wouldn't be a just to clarify, it wouldn't be a condition, if you decide, the town meeting decided to acquire the conservation easement, we wouldn't have to transfer it to the state. So I thought there might
that
be
mean?
some misunderstanding there.
Yeah.
We would just acquire we would just conserve the land, you know, have a conservation easement restrictions on the land.
Okay.
And which might, you know, I would think you could do trails, et cetera.
We could step into the plate, or whatever that number is,
Right.
365,000, we could step into the place of the state and replace them. Pam, you're saying that we're gonna have the hearing in any case?
The town meeting.
The town meeting to accept or reject?
Yes, under our charter, we should, yeah.
That's fine. My concern is that the easement from the, and I'm sorry, I was reading this on my phone in New Hampshire, so I didn't have access to other maps, so I'm not exactly positive where this is. But the easement that the water company has essentially doesn't give any public access. It's the right to grant access to the site for research or the use of the protected property for educational outreach purposes and on-site stewardship training program. So it's only the water company's purposes. It doesn't give public access to it. And I would just, if we're preserving a piece of this size, and it may be very important to the water company, that's why I said didn't have the maps. It would be nice to see if we could expand that easement to allow trails, to allow public access. And again, I'd like to know what adjoining properties there are, if there were land trust property
There
or
is a land
town
trust.
property
There is a land trust
adjacent.
property.
Yeah, that doesn't show it though, Joe. I did get that map.
Okay.
No, there is a piece,
Yeah.
a little piece there.
Right.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the one.
But,
Yeah.
you know, the big space is here. It would be nice to see if we could expand the easement to allow trails, if it's appropriate, and I don't know the answer to that, but we have a month to decide that.
Potentially expanding the state easement?
Yeah, either getting the state or the you know, if the state says for $5,000, we'll, you know, when we've had
Might be just a matter of putting the words down.
it might be. I mean, there's been a number of situations, for instance, the East River Preserve, where we have multiple easements, that a state goes on top of the town's easement or vice versa, so that, to protect the situation. But we have a month to
Yes, to
examine
flush
that,
out.
and that's fine.
And I can, you know, get on the phone with the state and discuss that.
Okay.
Yeah.
But would that change Kevin's recommendation?
Not necessarily.
And again, it's a.
No, I understand,
yeah,
but
it's a
I'm just curious a
recommendation
little
and,
more.
It may, if we find out more information, because from Kevin's memo, I'm not sure that they had a full
Right,
understanding.
that's what I mean.
Right.
So if, that may change their
Okay.
recommendation. I mean, I think you're raising a valid point there, so.
Yeah, I
Let's
talked to
see what-
Kevin before the meeting, and I talked to the acting chair after the meeting, and this didn't come up, so
That's
they
what I
didn't
mean.
have a
So
very
maybe we need
serious
more
discussion
information.
about
I mean,
this.
can we table it and then see?
Well, we can
No,
go
we're
ahead
gonna
and
have a public
we can
hearing
go
now.
ahead and schedule the public hearing.
Yes.
We've got from now until November 2nd.
Well,
To get,
it's-
we have all the
It's
information.
actually a town
Town
meeting.
meeting.
But I'm sorry,
But I'm
I keep
just-
saying hearing
And
at town
also,
meeting.
Well,
there's
the
a,
water authority had a hearing.
Oh, okay. I'm just concerned we have all the information, that's all.
no, understood.
Well, it's
There's a
not-
deadline within the date of the,
It's 90 days from September 18th.
right, so that's, we're just,
Yeah.
we just have to keep that in mind.
Yeah.
That's not to say that they can't meet again between that time and now.
Yeah, I'm
But
just-
I don't know that, we should put up the town meeting, we should get some of that in the 824.
Right.
And I should have definitely more information by town meeting.
So the only action that we have before us would be to schedule a town meeting, and that's by charter. We have to do that
Correct.
within the specified time, And what we've put together, what Pam has put together, I should say, is a town meeting for us to act upon, setting a town meeting, I should say, of Monday, November 2nd, 2015 at 8:15 a.m. And so that's the action before us if we want to.
Yes.
And I think that's the latest we could do it.
And in 8:20, well, Tracy's our guru with the timing, but you were comfortable with November 2nd, and we weren't really.
Okay.
And then the 8:24 referral to
Right.
P&Z.
Right.
So moved.
Okay. Second, any discussion on that motion? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Let's not forget to sign the notice of the town meeting before we adjourn.
Is that it, Joe? Do you want us to-
Yeah. This is fine, we can just sign that one. Okay, we'll move along. Item 5, thanks, Pam. Item 5, Town Engineer Jim Portley, 5.1, receive a report and discuss changes to the rules and regulations covering the excavation of town highways. Good morning, Jim.
Good morning.
I see they still haven't paved Route 1. I took a
No,
ride
they
when I got back last night.
No, I didn't expect it.
Yeah.
Of course,
Had a
the
lot of
weather
rain
wasn't
last
really
week.
good, well. We all thank God that you weren't here, because if you were here, we know we would've got the hurricanes.
Yeah, thanks a lot. I kept it down there for you, didn't I?
Yeah, no, we appreciate it.
You can thank me
Please,
now,
Thank
right?
you very much. This changes to, the rules and regulations that we have in place now were adopted back in 2007 by the Board of Selectmen. They are not an ordinance, they are authority for these rules and regulations comes under the town charter, which says the Board of Selectmen can set up conditions for any kind of permit to excavate the town highway. So they were adopted back then. They kind of put some kind of more formal process to the actual application of actually opening up a highway. What we're trying to do here in looking at the roads after last winter, and it was, it's been something that's been coming along for a while, is tighten up any activity in a town road so that we have a better handle on how the road is repaired after the street is opened up by the utility companies or mostly by utilities, but also by private contractors who come in and do work for homeowners. Under the current standards, the water company, when they allow a person to tie into a water main, they will have an agent out there that will do the tap on the water main, but the excavation and repair for the tap for the actual service into the house is, that's the responsibility of the property owner. So that we'll have various contractors come in who are qualified to dig and do all the things that they need to do. But the place that seems to we fall down on is the actual repair of the pavement. And we don't have somebody to stand out there and watch them step by step. So we kind of have relied on the process we've set up where they set up a bond and we try to keep on them after if we have any settlement or the pavement breaks up. But it's an imperfect system. The gas company, on the other hand, they have a system whereby they have a contractor comes in and does the installation for the gas company. He does a patch, and then at the end of a season, they'll have one contractor go around and do all their patching. And right now, that works out really well. They've got an outfit that comes in, they remove the existing pavement, recut it, and then repave it. And it has determined, I've determined it's a much better way to do it than do it a little bit here, a little bit there. So this change is a process, is something that we would like to follow. We would like to have, if you were going to be a licensed contractor in the town of Guilford, which we have spelled out we want you to be, so we can get your certificate of insurance and get a bond to cover any activities if you're in the street. If anything needs to be done immediately, we have money for that bond. But we also want now, and other towns have done this, is to have them set up a $2,000 fund so that when they come in, do their installation, they do their initial repair. There's also money set aside that we would hold that at the end of the year we would access to do a permanent repair. So if we had 10 contractors, that we would hire somebody to do 10 repairs. Some towns have gone to the position where in the spring, they'll actually put out a bid, okay, saying that, the town is asking for a price to repair the pavements, and here's the details of how you do it. And they base it on a square foot basis. So if you had a big job, it would be so much a square foot, but there would be a minimal charge, because we all know that when you go out, and you're gonna have to repair a pavement, you have a mobilization cost. You gotta get your guys together, get the equipment there, and you have to dig it up. So there's this, that's part of a bidding process. I think we could be, and I would be very selective in who we would ask to submit bids for. We want some experienced pavement contractors. You know, there's a lot of guys who can do work, and they're all terrific, but they don't do the same thing every day. If you get a paving contractor, the gas company uses Layden. They're out of North Haven, do a fabulous job. But I would ask them, and I would ask maybe Arrow Paving in town and other small contractors. It's not something that Tilcon, Tommaso would do. They don't break it down that finely. So that's the kind of change we're looking for with these rules and regulations. It's when we went through, we also took the opportunity to kind of develop a couple of detail sheets of how we want the pavement repaired, and that's at the back of the rules and regulations. So that's the genesis of why I've made the change. It is, as I said, it's not an ordinance. It wasn't set up to be an ordinance. It was set up to be something that the Board of Selectmen had a little more flexibility and change from time to time. Doesn't have to be something to be done right away. If the Board of Selectmen wanted to take some time to think about it, or because we relicense every contractor January 1st. They come in, if they want to work in the town street, they have to bring in their certificate of insurance, and they have to make application again. If they're bad, we don't have to relicense them. We haven't had any of those really. Well, we've had a couple over the years, but by and large, we want to bring their insurance certificates up to date. We want to make sure they've got the bond in place. In this process, we would go the next step further and have them set up a fund that we could access, that when we did repairs to pavement, we would have that fund set up, and money would be held until we used it. Then they would get any money we don't use, of course, they would get back. Or if they had a bunch of jobs and it exceeded what we had in value, we would ask them to supplement the initial $2,000 that is put in this fund. So that's it in a nutshell. Open any questions that you might have.
Jim,
Okay.
I'm looking at the assignment form, and I realize it's not a letter of credit, but typically you would see a condition on which it would be specified, on which it would be called, and a person or an agent who is entitled to draw down the money. I think, maybe Pam or somebody would want to look at that a little better, because I don't see the condition. It doesn't just say you could go in with your passbook and take the money out. So I think there's a little additional wording that needs to be inserted there to make it work.
Very good, okay.
And I'm also, I said this before, I think this needs to be recorded and centralized. I'm just a little uncomfortable with $2,000 passbooks floating around here or there. No disrespect or trying, but there needs to be a system where these are held and
Right.
I think we need to create.
Yeah, maybe we should have the finance director take a pass at it also. So I would just.
I nominate Gary to do that.
I withdraw the question.
I would, if board has no objection, I would just say I don't think we need a motion, but we just, we'll take another pass at this before January 1st.
Right.
So by sometime mid-December or beginning of December, we'll get this finalized.
That would be
Okay.
great. That would be terrific.
And I do think it's prudent. I mean, you and I both pass and repass over a section on clapboard where there's been problems for 2 years because
Amazing.
you know what I'm referring to. We both go by it on our way home, and it deteriorates and it deteriorates. So
Yeah,
I think it's a good action.
I think it's great if you and Sheila and Jim can work together on this. Okay? All right, Jim, thank you.
Thank you.
One more thing, I'm sorry.
Just before he goes,
Oh, he's not leaving yet, but go ahead.
I want to say I went down to Chaffin Allen Road last week, and again, it's a fantastic job the guys are doing down there. It really looks good. And
Thank
to
you.
raise a road 4 feet, and put in 4-foot drains and stuff, I think that it's gonna do the job.
It's amazing the compliments we've received on it. It's really, and it really is appreciated, because the guys worked really hard. I mean, it was also because we were very much in a time constraint to get it done, and it's a lot of material.
Yeah.
And perfect use of a lot of the material that we used the milling, mixed it with gravel, so that we have, we got a lot of value out of that. So it's terrific.
Before I left a week ago, the road was up there. I couldn't believe you.
Yeah.
You got it up to 4 feet.
You can see Long Island Sound from the road.
Yeah. I'll take a ride this afternoon.
One
You're
thing-
right, Carl.
The one thing they were worried about last week was Saturday, and what was the name of that hurricane there?
Joaquin?
Joaquin, yeah, but thank God it,
Well, I went down Friday at 3, it was the high tide. Sat high and dry, so
yeah.
looked good. And we had, Jones's Bridge, that road, 146 was flooding, and
Yeah.
we were good. So, thank God.
Charles and I were on the phone a lot, and I was on the phone with
Is that the name
The
of the
chief.
bridge over there? Jones's Bridge?
Jones's Bridge, yeah. See, just a little bit of history for you. You don't have to go to Joel for everything.
All right, let's move on to 5.2. Consider and take possible action to send the Whitfield Water Street parking lot improvement project to Planning and Zoning Commission for mandatory referral to under CGS 8-24. It's mandatory referral.
Right, and that'll be done.
Jim, you have any comments on that?
No, we've been working on it. I met last week, several of the people from the utility companies were on vacation when we tried to start setting up the design. I met with representatives of Frontier and Eversource regarding putting some of the utility, the lines underground. Their first comment was, it's gonna cost you about $120,000 to do that. That's just would be the town's cost of putting in vaults and so forth. Then the property owners would be faced with engaging their own electricians to change the connections at the back of the buildings. So this was gonna be something I was gonna discuss with the, next week, Brian has set up a meeting with the people with the first discussion meeting we had. It's a great idea, it's just not within the budget of what we can afford to do. It would make a big difference, because the back part of that parking lot doesn't have any overhead wires. It's all, when it was done underground. But that initial section as you come in off Water Street is crisscrossed with overhead wires. But at $120,000, again, that would be just the utility company's costs. We would still have to do the digging and put in the pipes and that kind of stuff. And then the property owners would be faced with the actual changeover. It just seems to me a lot to put together before next spring.
Again, for the people viewing this on the tape, this is the parking lot project.
Right.
That we received a grant for about $446,000 for. So that would eat up about a quarter of the project already.
Yeah, more.
Oh, more, yeah,
So, I just wanted to bring you up to date on that. Then we're working on it. We have a meeting, Brian, set up for next Wednesday, I think, 14th.
Okay.
So proceed that. We've got we got almost all the underground facilities mapped, all the septic systems and drainage systems and that kind of stuff. And we have walked through and put together a concept plan that we will present at that time.
Okay.
All right? And I guess we have to go to the Historic Commission too, as part of this whole deal.
Okay, so we need a
Brian
motion
said
to send, sorry, Jim. We need a motion to mandatory referral 824 of this.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you, James. Discuss, number 6, discuss and take possible action on a noise control ordinance variance application from the Guilford Agricultural Society for its food truck affair at the fairgrounds taking place October 31st to November 1st, 2015. You have the application in front of you. Gil, do you want to come before here and,
I don't think there's anything I can really add.
okay, so, unless we have any questions for
Be a
Gil
low-key
Lombard?
event is what we're planning on, We're testing the waters to see what we can raise some more money.
Okay.
The neighbors okay with it, Gil?
They should be, because it'll be a low-key event. I know.
For those that don't know, the presenter is a neighbor.
The application is signed by Mr. Lombard from the Ag Society. The police chief is, Chief Hudson's already signed off on it, he's approved. So it's come before this board for our approval. So what we need is a motion to approve the application.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion on the motion? See none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous, thank you. Okay.
I think as long as the neighborhood's happy with it, it's a great use of the Ag Society, and I wish them luck.
I do too. Excuse me. Okay, item 7, appointments and resignations. 7.1, act on a recommendation to reappoint Dean Mitchell to the Board of Fire Commissioners for a term to expire October 16, 2019. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. 7.2, act on a recommendation to appoint John Thoman to the Harbor Management Commission to fill a vacancy for a term to expire July 31st, 2016.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, unanimous. Act on a recommendation to appoint Damian Gunningsmith to the Economic Development Commission to fill a vacancy for a term to expire November 30th, 2018.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And 7.4, act on a recommendation to appoint Michael Basso as an alternate to the Zoning Board of Appeals for a term to expire February 28th, 2019.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Joe,
Yep.
can I
Yes, sir.
insert a question before we vote?
Oh, okay. Want to vote?
I would just, I don't know Mr. Basso, he may be wonderful, but, somebody who's lived in town for 4 months and has no municipal experience, serving on the zoning board of appeals, which has to do with the character of the town, I would just, I question it based on very, very limited exposure to this town and to, the concerns of this town.
Okay, okay. Motion's been made and seconded, so we still have to vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
I'm opposed.
Opposed, okay. So we got 4 affirmative and 1 opposed. Item 8, request for the use of town property. You got 8-1, 8.1 and 8.2.
I would make a motion that we approve the request for one use and one sign as indicated in the agenda 8.1 and 8.2.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. 9, correspondence. I haven't gone through any from my last week. If I've got any, I've passed it on. Anybody else? No? Old business, other than, before I left, the high school dedication, I think everybody who was in town on this board went. It went off very well, and I thought it was pretty well attended by the public. It was a beautiful day, and the comments I had from the public, that everybody is very, very pleased with the project so far. So I think you all have similar
Absolutely, yeah.
responses, I think. And the committee is doing an excellent job, but I keep saying doing because the project is not complete. Okay. Anybody else?
I would just suggest that, because I got a comment from a neighbor who didn't understand that the dedication was also a tour, and he wanted a chance to tour it, that maybe the high school scheduled 1 or 2 more tours so that
Well,
people can go through.
He can also, I'm sorry, Joe, he can also call Mr. Vicente,
Yeah.
the principal, and do his personal.
Right, but
Tour.
you don't want to take an hour of Mr. Rossetti's time for one person. If they would just schedule maybe 1 more for those people that missed it.
If she calls the office, there actually are some tours scheduled. like
Oh, okay,
Retired teachers are going up some night, and
Okay.
so there are
They're
some.
different, yeah.
great.
And they would just have a student or somebody take.
Yeah,
one.
I just,
Believe me,
I
Rick
didn't- I didn't-
loves to do it.
That's why I don't think, he does, but he would also send people.
Okay.
You know, so it's not
I didn't
like-
want to create a huge inconvenience for him.
Any new business? Okay. Public forum, limited to 3 minutes on any item.
Hello.
Hi, yes, ma'am.
My name is Kimberly Schmid, and I live at 140 Wild Rose.
And who's with you?
This is Henrik Schmid.
Hi, Henrik.
Is he speaking?
He's 6 months old. He has a concern.
Okay.
I have a concern. And it's on 146.
Please
Sit or
Oh,
stand?
sure, I can sit. And it's about 146. And I'm, especially over these glorious weekends we've been having, I'm very concerned about the cyclists and the walkers and the runners along that road. And I noticed in the town's conservation and development plan, I read through that there was an action item in there about 146 bicycle and pedestrian safety. And I think it had a BOS and DOT ownership around that. So I thought I'd come here today, voice my concern, see what the status is around that, what the next steps might be as a town that we can take, and see how I can help.
Okay. And obviously, I think your concern is the speeding and the traffic, is that it?
Yes, and a lack of a safe place for, you know, cyclists and walkers and runners to be. I also see, I have seen, you know, moms out there with strollers, not regularly, but I've seen that. I've seen people commuting in. There's one man who comes in and I believe works at the Big Y. I see him coming in on that stretch of road. And then, of course, the people who are out there just for, you know, just for health reasons and enjoying the beautiful stretch of road. So.
Kimberly called me and I suggested that she'd come, what she was going to anyway. And that's obviously my area of town where I live. And that road, you know, 146, 3 Mile, that whole area is such a scenic area that they even schedule, you know, different bike races
Yeah.
and
There was one
running and that
yesterday.
type of thing. And we know it's a state road and everything, but we wanted to make the point that, you know, if there is some way, when they do any modification of it, or maybe the expansion of the Greenway Trail or something, that, you know, there is more of a accommodation for this pedestrian traffic is what it comes down to. So.
Yeah,
We, in the past, we have talked to the state about it because it is very dangerous. I mean, in some places, the bike lane is about 8 inches
Yeah.
wide, and I use that road all the time, and it's really a dangerous situation. And then people get impatient, and they try to pass, and you can't see who's coming in the opposite. It's just a mess. But they are going to have to do, the state is going to have to do some work at some point.
Raising
We
the
just
road
talked
and
about
that-
Chaffin Challen Road, you know,
Right.
raising it and whatnot. There's 2 or 3 spots where water comes over the road already, and it's just gonna get worse. But widening it and whatnot, that's also gonna be expensive, but the state's gonna have to do it. I mean, and if anything does come before the board, if you give your name and address to Tracy, you know, we can notify you, because if we need citizen support, we certainly would call on you.
Right. It seems like if the road will be modified by the state, it'd be nice to have some type of plan in place, you know, between the towns of Guilford and Branford, and maybe a partnership with the Greenway Trail that says, this is what we'd like to have, you know, if the state is to do something. You know, if they're moving the road, if they're doing something, if they're raising it, this is what we as a community would like to see, versus waiting until we find out that they're going to do modifications and then trying to quickly figure out what we want. I also know that I would think at a state level it'd be really powerful and look really good if we are viewed as having some sort of partnership among, you know, between Branford and Guilford and the Greenway Trail and the land trusts, and everyone has said this is what we'd like to see. Because I know at the state level, if they see that we're aligned and working together, that would look really
Well,
good.
we do have a scenic roads committee.
Yes.
And it's made up of both Branford and Guilford
Okay.
people. And they meet fairly regularly.
They do.
Yeah. And they, I think, have already made recommendations also.
yeah.
The other thing is
This has
like,
been an ongoing issue on that road. This
Yeah.
is not new, so I
Right.
know they've been trying to
do something.
And I know the Greenway, have you talked to the Greenway Trail? Because I know they're, okay.
Well, what I'll do at the next Council of Governments meeting, we meet once a month, and I sit on the Transportation Committee, which is part of COG, Council of Governments, and we also meet once a month. So I will, again, I keep bringing it up, the issue of 146 with First Selectman Cosgrove, who also sits on the Transportation Committee. He's the First Selectman of Branford, and keep reminding them about the level of the road, the elevation of the road, and I'll bring up the issue that you raised also.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank
To
you.
bring up to Kimberly's point about having a plan in place, I mean, I think what you suggested with Transportation Committee obviously is very important, but, you know, if we could, you know, work towards, you know, with these other committees, having something in place, because we all know that when money becomes available, those shovel-ready projects are the first ones. And she makes a good point that, you know, if we have a general plan that we as a town in Branford or whatever, as communities, have something in place, this would be the ideal, you know, maybe that'll give us an edge.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll work on it. Okay. Thank you for coming.
Both of you.
Yes.
Is there anybody else wishing to address the board? Item 13, discuss possible easement acquisition and pending litigation with respect to the easement acquisition pursuant to FOI Section 12-200, 9C, executive session required. Okay, I'm going to, before we vote, invite our in-house counsel and our, who's actually on vacation, I appreciate him coming in, our health director, Dennis Johnson, but I need a vote.
So moved.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Mike, no, we won't be coming back for a vote, just to adjourn, but we don't need that to adjourn, okay?